A low-carb lifestyle does not mean that it can't be delicious, and I personally like ethnic-type foods like Mexican food.
Me too.
Welcome to Air to Ground Farms and to our kitchen. I'm Shelley.
And my name's Rich. I spent almost 25 years in the U.S. Air Force as a fighter pilot and strategist, and about 3 years ago, we moved here to the Ozarks of Missouri and started a regenerative farm. Part of our mission here on this farm is growing amazing food, and we're going to showcase some of that today in our pork.
We came up with an idea a couple of days ago to create a Mexican dish that is low carb and healthy, and it's going to be a tostado style dish. We're going to use our famous chaffle as the base.
I've talked about it on some previous videos. Although I made sweet chaffles at the time, I said, we do other things with chaffles as well, like make them savory. So today I wanted to share with you guys a savory style chaffle and use it as the base for a tostada.
So we're going to be using cumin and paprika and some red pepper and garlic and all of the yummy spices that go into a really delicious Mexican dish. And we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep as many preservatives out of it as we can, so we're going to make our own taco seasoning?
Yeah, we're going to do our own taco seasoning, and we'll leave the recipe for you so that you can make your own as well. The store-bought taco seasonings have got like cornstarch and monosodium glutamate and maltodextrin and sugar and like all of these things that we really don't want in our food. So we're just going to make our own, basically, taco packet,
right?
And we'll use it to season both the chaffles and the meat.
Now today we're going to use some of our ground pork. Now everything that we cook, please keep in mind flexibility. If you don't like pork, don't use pork. Use ground beef. If you like chicken, use chicken. If you have alpha-gal, use whatever the meat is that you need and you have in your refrigerator to make this dish. Be flexible, think outside the box. These are just base ideas for you to add to your menu for the week so that you can make delicious low-carb meals. So let's head over and start making some seasoning and getting our chaffle mix put together and getting us cooked up. If you've been here before, you know I like to keep it simple. I don't want it to take forever. We've got other things to do other than just stand in the kitchen and cook all day. So we're going to get this thing whipped up and start eating as quickly as we can. So let's head over and start cooking.
All right.
Let's make some homemade taco seasoning. I have my ingredients here and it's all ready for me. Very easy recipe. It is 1 tablespoon, a teaspoon of these, and a half a teaspoon of these. So I'm just gonna mix it all together and I'll say it out loud as I go here. So we're gonna do a tablespoon of chili powder, teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of granulated garlic, teaspoon of granulated onion powder, teaspoon of, I'm going to use Chipotle chili pepper. You could substitute this for paprika if you don't want it to be too spicy. But we like that smoky flavor in the chili powder. Teaspoon of oregano. Teaspoon of salt. Okay, let's get over here to the half teaspoon group. Half of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. I'm gonna do heaping because we like our stuff spicy. And then finally, a half of a teaspoon of black pepper. Stir this all around. Let's see. Yes. Guess what it smells like? Taco packet. Except it doesn't have all the other stuff in it. Oh yeah, that smells perfect. Okay. So let's slide these guys out of the way. We're done with them. And get over here to making some chaffles because I believe he's going to make chaffles and use this in the chaffle mix so that it makes the thing easier to put together.
Time for the chaffles. The base mix is 5 eggs, 1 cup of almond flour, and 3 cups of cheese. For the sweet chaffles, I'll use 3 cups of mozzarella. For these savory chaffles, I'm going to use 2 cups of mozzarella and 1 cup of cheddar. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of that taco mix that Shelley just made. So here goes. 5 eggs are in. Time for 1 cup of almond flour. Going to go ahead and add the tablespoon of seasoning. And then I'm going to stir. Time for 2 cups of mozzarella. And finally, 1 cup of shredded cheddar. One more stir to incorporate everything. And so we've got our standard thick, sort of chunky chaffle batter. Our waffle iron is already heated and I'm moving over to start these things cooking. I like to use a small ladle and dip it out 1 square at a time into our 4 square dash waffle maker. And then I end up just sort of spreading it around so that it's sort of even across the waffle iron. Okay. All right, let's check on Shelly and see if she can't get that meat going.
Being on a ketogenic diet or a low-carb diet means we want to keep our fats up. What I went ahead and did was go ahead and get some grease hot. I know that this ground pork is going to have some, but I want a little bit extra to mix in because I'm making kind of a taco sauce. So I went ahead and got a little bit warm going over here just for start. Now I'm going to take some of our Air to Ground Farms Premium Berkshire ground sausage. There's no seasoning in this. It's just ground sausage, ground pork. And I'm going to get that going and get it browned. Once it's browned, then we'll add our seasoning to it. I'm treating this ground pork just like I would ground beef. I'm just going to put it in this, get in this pan and get it browned up. I can smell those chaffles cooking and they smell incredibly different than the ones that we do when we have pancake, waffle, breakfast style syrupy cinnamon smell. It's starting to smell like cumin and some chili powder, and the smell from the cheddar cheese really changes the whole thing. You can tell 100% that we're going for supper on this thing and not breakfast. I know there are a lot of keto people out there watching this. If you have a favorite chaffle recipe that you've tried, be sure to leave it in the comments below because we love new ideas and that'll help the whole community out.
The waffle iron just gave me a green light saying that this first round of chaffles should be done, so let's check them. All right, those look so good. Oh yeah, and that cheddar helped crisp it up. Look at that. It's gonna be a perfect tostada shell. We need to make more. Batch number 2 going in. I used a pair of scissors and I just cut the squares apart. I find that way easier. Okay, there's the base to our tostadas.
The recipe for this taco mix calls for 2/3 of a cup of water once you add your taco mix to your meat, kind of like a taco packet does. However, because I added the extra grease and I'm using ground pork, I'm gonna monitor whether or not I need to add any water to this based on the amount of oil that I have. But if you have a leaner meat that you're using, definitely add the 2/3 cup and then allow that to mix in with your seasonings to make it a nice sauce on your meat. I think we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding. It's 2 tablespoons of mix per 1 pound of meat. I have 1 pound of ground pork here, so I'm going to start adding my mix. Those weren't full, so I'll just add a little bit of extra. So I've added my mix to the top of my meat. Now, just like you would a packet, we're just gonna stir that in and get it nice and brown, keeping it simple, because that's how I like it. Oh yeah, okay. The spices start emitting their aromas when they heat up, and boy, the chili pepper and the cumin and the garlic is really starting to release its smells. Oh man. This is not Taco Bell, y'all. It looks like I'm not gonna need to add the water. So if you use the water, the recipe would be to add the water and then cook your meat over medium to low heat until the water is evaporated and it's all well blended and your seasoning is stuck to your meat. I think I've achieved this. We've got enough grease in it. We really like the grease because we're keto and we think that the grease is a good thing. So we're gonna leave it just like it is. I'm not going to add the water today. So in my opinion, our meat is ready. It's time to build our tostadas. I'm going to use 2 per plate. He and I like to eat. So we're each gonna get 1 or 2 chaffles. And then I'm going to add some meat, some of our taco meat. Okay. Now, a lot of times you could put maybe some lettuce. You could go with a little bit of tomatoes. Don't put too many if you're trying to go low carb. Tomatoes do have a few carbs in them. Lettuce, tomato, maybe a little bit of salsa on there, something to kick it up and make sure that you know that you're eating Mexican food. So today, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna keep it really basic and as kind of high fat as we can get it. I'm gonna add some cheddar cheese to the top and hopefully it'll start melting a little bit. And then we're each gonna get a dollop of guacamole and sour cream. There's a Mexican spice in this house that we really enjoy using, and we almost added it to the mix, but then decided not to, so I'm gonna throw it on top. We like to use Tajín seasoning. It has a nice zing whenever we're eating Mexican food. It has a nice little lime zip, and it just adds a lot of flavor. That's one of the things that we learned pretty early on was in this eating a low carb lifestyle, do not skimp on flavor. Always really give your food a flavorful punch so that whenever you get done eating it, you are super satisfied with what you have eaten. I think they're ready. Well, this looks delicious.
It sure does. It looks, I mean, it's actually pretty too.
I know. Got the green, got the red, got the colors going in it.
Yeah.
It was really fun to make too. We like to cook in the kitchen. We like to hang out and learn new things about food and cooking food together.
I think really the most important thing is the one that you covered already, and that is make sure that it has enough spice that you know what you're eating. Bland, especially with a low carb or ketogenic lifestyle, a lot of people go to 1 meal a day, and you don't want that one meal to be bland. You really want it to taste really flavorful and really good. So don't be afraid of the spice. Obviously with salt you can overdo it, but really spice things up so that you can taste and enjoy the meal that you're having.
Right, use your imagination, be flexible, and if you see something in a recipe that you don't really care for, remember, omit it. Add something else that you do like. We encourage you to just get creative in the kitchen. I'm ready to give this a try.
All right, let's try.
Let's smear it around a little bit because it's, Mexican food. You got to get a little messy with your plate.
Okay, the tostada's got a crunch.
Okay.
I called it a tostada.
Yeah, you did. So,
Wow, that is good.
that's really good. That makes me smile. The chaffle with the cheddar cheese really does make it a little bit more crunchy. And traditionally a tostada would be kind of like a crunchy corn bowl or tortilla style. Yeah. And since we don't eat corn like that anymore, we want something that substitutes really well. And this totally fits the bill.
And the seasoning that you made is really good. And then the Tajín adding that little bit of lime zest right on top. I don't know, this is definite win.
Yeah.
I like it.
Zing. If you are in a low carb lifestyle and you love Mexican food also, give this a try. And until next time, Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.